Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will be talking about the texturism and colorism within the colored community here in South Africa. And so this TikTok creator said, "I'll never forget how the colored girlies are used to make fun of us for having krusara every time we wore our natural hair." Excuse my pronunciation, it's an Afrikaans word. It means frizzy hair. It's used by colored girls as an offensive term for people with coily hair, foresy hair, afro-textured hair. So if you don't know what colored means here in South Africa, I understand it is a very derogatory term in other parts of the world. Here in South Africa, just like how we have black, white, Indian, we have a racial group, colored. So those are multiracial people. So it's generations of mixed people, and when I say mixed, it's not just black and white, it's black, white, it's Indian, it's a bunch of different races mixing, and then generations of them building their own community. So how you have a black parent, black mom, black dad, black children, and those children have other black kids, and so on and so forth. That's how we ended up having a racial group with just mixed people. It's multiracial group with their own culture and their own language, Afrikaans. If there are any colored people from South Africa watching, please feel free to go into the details in the comment section if there's any confusion you'd like to clear up. Okay, so I don't have a script today. I'm trying to speak more from the heart. Normally I have a script, so I'm trying to get used to speaking from the heart. So if you hear a lot of pauses, I'll try and edit those out to the best of my ability. Now, a quick history lesson about South Africa. I'm sure you've heard of Apartheid, and that is the segregation of racial groups here in South Africa. So you had hierarchies. You had white people at the top, and then you had Indians, colored, and then black people in that order. And so black people were at the bottom of the social hierarchy. And what you need to understand is within these groups, there was this thing of the lighter you are or the looser your texture. Basically colorism and texturism, the lighter skinned you are, the looser your texture, the closer to white you are. And the darker your skin is, the more coarse your hair is, you are referred to as black. So till this day, unfortunately, black people in this country have to deal with racism from all the other groups, from white people, from Indians, from colored people, right? And one of the ways that we're going to focus on the colored community, and one of the ways that they show discrimination within their own group is if there is a colored person who is dark-skinned, which they are, the same as mixed people who are darker skinned, because not every mixed baby is going to be light-skinned, right? So if you are darker skinned, an insult to them is being called black. So they refer to you as black. If your hair comes out like an afro or 4C coily hair, you are referred to as black as an insult. So basically a colored person who's lighter skinned would say to another colored person who's darker skinned, you're not colored, you're black. And then people, would fight and cry because they've been called black. That's how much some of them hate black people, is you call them black, that's an insult. That's the ultimate insult. And what's interesting to me is I've shared before that I started my YouTube channel because I was inspired by a lot of African American women speaking about, texturism and colorism. And so I wanted to have those conversations in relation to my country. And when I hear there's this other discourse that I've heard happening in America where black men will speak down on black women in favor of white women. And so that happens here as well, but instead of white women, it's not really that common to see black men with white women, but you will hear some people, I've been to school with some people who will put colored women, specifically lighter skin colored women, on a pedestal. And then if someone, I've shared this in one of my other videos, that one of the ways that people compliment you here is they will say, oh, you look colored, or what are you mixed with? So that is a very common thing in this country. And what's quite frustrating is that people will deny it, and they will say that, oh, you just it's not that deep. It's a very common thing here, is whenever you try and have these conversations about colorism and texturism, they will just say it's not that deep, you're being too sensitive. And so when men in this country say they like colored girls, they mean a very specific kind of colored girl. Light skin, a looser texture hair. Or even if they're slightly dark, think of someone like Tyler, right? That's what they think when they hear colored. And so if you are a colored girl who happens to look black, more black than you do mixed or any other race, then you're not the standard. They will argue with you that you're not colored. I also remember in primary school there was this one girl who got a compliment one time because she was light skinned, and then she would come up with this whole story of who in her family is mixed, and so she would say her grandmother is colored, and so it's in her blood and all of that. The point is, there are a lot of people who want to be seen as colored, who want to, have that closeness to colored, or proximity to being called colored, right? And the more you try and learn as to why people want that, obviously it all leads back to apartheid, it leads back to racism. Obviously, if you are subscribed to my channel, we know why we have certain standards in this world. It's because of racism. And unfortunately, when you try and have those conversations with people who think like this, like I said earlier, they'll say it's not that deep. And they just like to say, oh, it's how we are, it's how we were raised. Why were we raised like that? They don't want to ask themselves these questions. They don't want to ask why they think light skin is the standard. Why do you think having looser texture is the standard? And that's the problem in this country, is that people don't want to have deeper conversations as to why we think the way we think. Every little detail or thing about you that someone finds attractive, they will try and remove it from your blackness and try and attach a different race to you. So if your afro is big or your hair grows, air quotes, fast, people will say, oh, you have some colored in you, that's why your afro is big, insinuating that black people's hair does not grow. Or if you're lighter skin, again, you have to be colored, or you have a slightly thinner nose, you have to be colored. It's almost as if we are a monolith as black people. And I understand there are certain features that we have as black people. So when somebody who does shows up and they're black, but they don't have those typical black features, maybe a wider nose or bigger eyes or bigger lips, then people think, or they must be mixed with something, instead of just thinking maybe they're just a different kind of black. I don't know if I'm making any sense. The point is here, it's very unfortunate that it's like we're starting from square one, and it's sad because when you watch other countries have these, again, I'll use an example with America. Yes, you may not be where you want to be, but it is nice to see more people waking up and acknowledging colorism and texturism. They're having these conversations. But it is sad in my country that there aren't that many of us having these conversations. When you try and bring it up, as I said, people will say, oh, it's not deep, it's not that deep. They love to say you're bringing American problems into South Africa. And then another thing that I absolutely hate is when people will come across someone who's darker skinned, or because most people here in South Africa, from what I've seen, just in the areas that I've lived, most people here are brown but closer to dark than they are to light. But if there is someone who happens to be dark skin, really dark skin, has really coarse hair, or somebody they deem unattractive or not the standard or typical standard, they will always say oh, they have to be a foreigner, they have to be from Nigeria, they have to be from Ghana, they immediately become xenophobic. And in them saying these things, I don't think they realize the mentality that they have, because when it's someone who is lighter skinned, either they say they're colored or they say they're foreigner, but from America or Europe, they say ngato apeshe, they'll say that, which means it's like you're from overseas. And so when you hear people speak like this, obviously you're thinking, oh, this person is really brainwashed. This person is really brainwashed into thinking anything that is African is bad. It's bad, it's unattractive, and anything that is good is not from Africa, or something from outside of Africa has been mixed in with this person. And I don't know if they still use this word, but growing up, a way that a word that black people would say to a darker skinned person or someone they didn't find attractive was "Aingeke unushangani." So it's like you're a foreigner, but it's an insult. So again, they've been very xenophobic at a young age. It's something that they've been saying since we were kids. And in this day and age, they have just found a way of being, I don't know if discreet is the word, but I don't hear people using that word as often. But I do still hear people associating beauty with being mixed, being colored, being a foreigner, and anything dark skin. If you have a wider nose, you're automatically from a different African country, looking down on those African countries, saying, because when you say, oh, this person is ugly, therefore they must be from this other country, you're associating that country with ugliness, which I obviously don't agree with. I think as an African continent, we are the most diverse. And in my opinion, we are very beautiful people. I think every race has beautiful people. Everybody has attractive and handsome people. But speaking on Africans, I have seen some of the most beautiful people in the world come from other African countries. There was this video that I saw on TikTok of a mother, if I'm not mistaken. She was in South Korea, and and she posted a video of her kids, her two daughters, they were dark skinned, playing in the playground with, I think, a Korean kid or a white kid, I'm not sure, but a child of a different race. And it was it was a white lady. Yes, a white lady posted this, and her daughter was playing with these two black girls, and they were dark skinned. And it's an innocent video. This woman was saying, oh, she's so grateful for these two girls for befriending her daughter. And so you would think the comments would be, oh, that's so lovely. Some of them were like that, but an overwhelming number of those comments from South Africans were people so fixated on those two black girls' skin. They were saying, no way a South African is that dark. They must be Nigerians. I understand why Nigerians don't like us, guys. Very xenophobic. You guys, it was so sick to read. It was so sickening reading those comments, because how can you say that about children? The things that they were saying, no, those are not South African kids. Nobody's that black in South Africa. They were being very, very xenophobic. They were anti-black. And you ask yourself, how brainwashed do you have to be as an African to see another black person and think and have those thoughts, especially children? What possesses you to speak like that about children? And now bringing it back to the colored community, the problem that I have with colored people is that they will deny that they don't have this superiority complex. They will deny that they don't think they're better than especially black colored women. They think they're better than black women. And again, this goes back to the way black men compliment them. So they think, oh, I'm better than you because I'm lighter skinned, I'm colored, or I'm this, I'm that. Basically, this whole conversation of I'm better than you because I'm mixed. And if you try and correct this thought process, this mindset, this horrible way of thinking, if you try and correct it, the first thing the number one thing they always say to you is, you are jealous. You are jealous, you wish you were me, you wish you had my hair, you wish you had my skin, da 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 da. They never ever try and understand why people, or why black women try and conversate with them and be like, hey, this is not okay. They never try and understand why the way they think is not okay. This is not all colored people, okay? There are colored people who are against this. But it is a very unfortunate reality that we are living in, because a lot of South Africans are very, very hard-headed when it comes to these conversations. Because even in my TikTok page, no matter how many times I and many other women with coily hair will share that our hair is beautiful, our hair is very manageable, we just need to, find the right products, right techniques, there's always going to be someone who will jokingly, quotation marks, say, oh, I just, not everybody's hair is nice. Not everybody's hair is nice. It's just the reality. Some of us look better with relaxed hair. Why do you think you look better with relaxed hair? Why do you think it's just because I like it? Let's be honest. Yes, some people are like that, but the reality is, in this country, a lot of you feel the way you feel because you are brainwashed. It's got nothing to do with your own choice. You do not choose to relax your hair just because you want to relax your hair. That's not the reason why you're doing it. A very few handful of people, sure, but a lot of you, the way that you speak on my TikTok page, on other South Africans' TikTok pages, when they talk about colorism and texturism, the way that you speak, you expose yourself. That you think that you look better with relaxed hair because of what you were taught when you were young, that your hair is hard to deal with. You think that lighter skin is better, not because it actually is better. It's because of what you were taught. You were probably bullied as a child, or you bullied someone because someone was whispering in your ear telling you that you're better than this person, you're better than that, just because of your complexion. Does that not sound like racism to you? Imagine that is colorism is a form of racism, discrimination, right? Because white people, they told themselves for centuries that they are better than black people. So what makes you so different from that racist white person when you say, I'm better than a dark-skinned person because I'm light-skinned? It's the same thing. The only difference is it's within your community. And in my opinion, that makes it worse, because you are turning against your own people. You are turning against your own people. You're hurting the people around you, the children around you, all because of a compliment from a man. And don't get me started on how male-centered a lot of women are in this country. Because a lot of them are, taking the light skin thing as a compliment because a man said it. The number one thing, or the number one way, or one of the ways that a lot of these women who think like this try and get back at you or somebody is, but I bet your man wants me. A man wants that. That's the only reason why they think they are better. It's not because they actually believe that they possess some superpowers because they light skin or they have looser textures, but it's because a man gave them a compliment. A lot of these women guys, there's a lot happening, terrible things are happening in South Africa. And there's a lot more conversations that we will be having in this channel that go beyond natural hair, which is the main thing in this channel. Is I just want women, black women, African women, to love their natural hair. There's so many more things happening in this country that I will make more videos about, so that you guys can understand how deeply brainwashed these people are, how sad it is to exist in this country where people do not want to have conversations. Because I feel like having these conversations will open doors for us in order to figure out how do we move forward from here. How do we get better? Because you can't possibly, teach your daughters, your nieces, your nephews, everybody around you, the generation that follows us, you can't teach them how to love themselves if you turn around and make fun of people who look just like your child. Because some of these people, these light-skinned people, will have dark-skinned children, right? Because genetics 50-50, I'm not very smart when it comes to scientific things, but all I know is a lot of these light-skinned women sometimes will date darker-skinned men because they say, a darker-skinned man is more manly. Again, the things that white people put on us, they are repeating. So a lot of white people think black people or black men are stronger, they are more manlier, right? And then and so that trickles down into our communities. A lot of light-skinned women will say, a dark-skinned man is more manly, and a light-skinned man is he's too, they like to say gays and insults, basically too feminine, right? And so obviously this light-skinned woman and the dark-skinned man get together. Chances are the child might be light-skinned or dark-skinned. If that child comes out dark-skinned, what are you going to teach this child? Because you can't possibly tell me that this child will grow up confident, because you, as a light-skinned woman, the first thing you think of when you want to insult someone is to attack their skin, is to attack their hair. So your child's going to hear you say all these things, and then they're going to internalize it and say, my own mother. This is what my own mother feels. The point that I'm trying to make, I am going to need South Africans. I'm going to need South African women, South African men, everyone within the black community, to understand that a lot of these standards, or what you find attractive, if it involves skin complexion, if it involves the hair texture, I don't care. You can say whatever you want to say in the comments. It's a preference. If you are putting down another person, it cannot be a preference. Secondly, why is it your preference? Why is light skin your preference? Why do you think dark skin is ugly? Why do you think being from a foreign African country is unattractive? Why do you think those things? You were taught that. Who taught you that? Where did they learn that? Until you ask yourself these questions and educate yourself, you will continue to hurt the people in your community. You will hurt your sisters, your daughters, your aunts, the people around you. And also, I don't want to hear anybody, I don't care where you're from, I don't want to hear anybody say, that's how we were raised. That does not mean it's right. What happened in the past, or how you were raised in the past, does not mean it is okay for us to continue with that thought process, with that behavior. We have to change it. We supposed to improve. With each generation, we are supposed to improve. Within the black community, we are supposed to look at how we were raised and then try and figure out where our parents went wrong. I understand that they were trying their best. Now it's our turn to try our best and fix certain things and change it so that the generations after us can have a peace of mind, cannot worry about their own blackness. It's really sad to see that the biggest haters that we have as black people, it's other black people, especially other black women. The countless videos we see of black women saying, you know what, I'm not going to wear makeup, I'm going to go to my wedding with my natural self. Black women were attacking that lady. A black woman went to graduation with her natural hair, black women were attacking that lady. And so we need to sort ourselves out as a community. We need to, especially here in South Africa, we need to start having these conversations and be honest. Even if you're not talking to somebody else, have these conversations with yourself. What is it called? Introspection, I think. But start asking yourself, why do you think the way that you do? Why do you think the way that you do? I didn't always think like this as well. I grew up seeing natural hair around me. I thought it was beautiful, but my hair would always be relaxed. And so I remember I would ask, why do we keep relaxing my hair? And my mom would say, because it's easier to manage. And so I grew up with the mentality that natural hair is hard to manage. It's beautiful, but it's hard to manage. So I might as well keep it relaxed. Until at 18, I decided to cut my hair and I started learning about natural hair. But the point is, if you don't ask yourself why, you will continue to live in denial and you will continue to perpetuate these stereotypes, these horrible perceptions about black people that have been passed down from the apartheid times, from colonial times, by racist people. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do not forget to like and subscribe, and I will be posting more videos similar to this soon. I hope you enjoy the video.
There's literally nobody that hates the conversation about colorism like light-skinned girls and black men. And it says a lot about the internalized racism amongst black people. You guys literally don't think it's that deep, and it's so ignorant, and I'm gonna tell you why. A few years ago, I will never forget this because it literally marked me for life. These two dark-skinned girls came up to me. I think I was walking in the streets. I came from the shop, and they were like, "You're so pretty, you're light." Literally, when I heard them say that, I didn't take it as a compliment. Instead, I started to feel sad because I was like, ish, they're associating beauty to light skin. Because if they had just said, "Oh, you're so beautiful," then I would have said, "Oh, it's not that deep, like, they just think I'm pretty." But because they mentioned the light skinness, then I was like, ish, okay, they can already tell that if you are light, you are pretty. They already have it in them that light-skinned girls are pretty. So as much as I'm not necessarily like light or a yellow bone, but to them, anyone that's a shade lighter than them is good looking. That was literally just one scenario, and I've experienced many more. But it said a lot about the backgrounds or homes that they come from, because if you have a father that dated your mother because he didn't want dark-skinned kids like him, and then it happens that the mom doesn't give birth to light-skinned girls, and it's so popular, guys, like it's so common that light skin doesn't dominate, dark skin dominates in the genes. Light skin is a recessive gene, so it can only dominate if the father also has light skin somewhere. But if the father is dark and his family is dark and the woman is the only one that is light, then it's not going to dominate. And that's literally what people don't understand. But anyway, so if your dad dated your mom because he wanted light-skinned kids, and then you come out dark-skinned like him, that internalized colorism, that the father preferred a daughter or a child that is light-skinned, is going to show, and the children are going to know it. You can try your best to hide it and act like, you're okay with your daughter being dark-skinned, like it's not that serious, but it's going to come out in many ways. For example, if they have cousins or family members that are constantly picking at their dark skin, you don't stand up for them. You just say, hi, and just brush it off. Like, you don't stand up against it and say, no, that is not right. My daughter is beautiful. Just because she's dark skinned doesn't mean that she's ugly. When you have a mom that felt honored to be loved by black men because she was light skinned, you're going to suffer, because when you are going through dark-skinned girl problems, she's not going to be able to help you. She's not going to be able to defend you because she doesn't know what it's like to be you, and she didn't care. So she's not all of a sudden going to have information or know how to help you because she never bothered. She always thought that she was superior and everybody else was jealous. So I watched an interview by Busisa some years ago, and she was saying how she was so shocked when she came into the industry that people were calling her ugly and saying that her complexion was dark and ugly. The shockery came from the fact that she spent her whole life being told by her family, her mom, her dad, her sisters or brothers, that she was the most beautiful girl in the world, and that's all she's ever known. So the minute she went into the world and the world said, "You are ugly," she was like, oh hell no, that can't be true, because I was brainwashed to think that I am pretty, so there's no way what you're saying is true. I fight colorism every day because that's what I want for my kids. Like, I want my kids to have a father that says, hey, when I tell those kids at school that they must stop lying because you look like your dad and your dad is handsome, so you are definitely beautiful, like they must stop lying to you. This dark skin, this nose, these eyes, you got them from me, and I am handsome, so there's literally no way you're ugly. If you're someone that loves yourself, loves your complexion, love people that look like you, it will literally show. Like, it will literally show, and your kids will know it. So yeah, guys, if it's not that deep and it's just a preference, then go ahead, but your children are gonna suffer in the long run.